Good morning. I'm back. I just landed and got home 20 minutes ago or something. Let's have a look at what we learnt, shall we? Because, honestly, one of the most insane matches I've ever witnessed. It was absolute carnage. Got absolutely pelted with beers when United scored a second. Was sitting in the home end, but the three lads to my left were United. There was two guys from the United Greece supporters club in front of me. There was a few behind me that were United. And there was a fair few United just in and around us. I was sat one down from some president of Summit in Denmark, like some legendary sort of FA kind of geezer. But it didn't feel like you was in the home end. If I'd have been sat in that section 12, that would have felt like a home end. Hands down, that was mega. The end opposite where the United fans was. But I was on the side. And then we score after 3 minutes, and I can't help myself. So I've jumped up, fucking going, "Aah!" And then gone, oh shit, like in a home end, can't do that. And the rules in England, if you celebrate in a home end as an away fan, you're fucking on your ear. Obviously that didn't happen. There was a fair few of us. The second goes in, and we do it again. And I did it with less even thinking. And we get a fucking pint lobbed at us. It's in a plastic cup. Which, by the way, if you saw my Instagram story, like I was like, fucking hell, I can sit here with a pint watching a match. Why is that illegal in England? Why is that illegal in England? You tell me why that's illegal in England when I can do that in the same competition in Denmark. So anyway, I've got a couple of pints. One of them comes winging, hits us on me, right in my ear, man. It coats a couple of lads behind us. And these lads, allegedly, went and gone filled in the geezer that did it to us. Because the geezer that did it was flipping him off afterwards, just standing there giving it that. And they went and filled him in. And then they came back to the seat. And I was like, this is fucking mad. I mean, these are, Mancunian United fans. I don't want them chucked out. I think there was 3 of them on 2 tickets, truth be told, to pay us to fail. And they just came and sat back down. And all the stewards, one of them got a curly finger off the steward, and I was like, oh, he's getting turfed out now. Then he came back, sat back down. I was absolutely fucking mind blown. I was like, wow, what a mad gaff this is. There was a pitch invasion. Absolutely banana stuff going on in the home end. It starts well. Honestly, Hojlund should have had a hat-trick. That third shot that he had, he puts that in either corner. And United are 3-0 up. And honestly, the game could have just turned on that moment there. John Evans goes off injured. Anyway, what? We've spoken about that one. Let's get into what's going on. Ross in the comments says, England fans having a couple of pints watching the match would be a problem. Right, but it happens at other sports, and it happens in English football. It happens in non-league. It's allowed in non-league. Non-league doesn't have the same level of violence as or aggro as others. And I wonder sometimes if you restrict people's ability to have a bev and sit in the seat and get it, does that stop people like glugging it so fast so they can get a couple in before the match starts? Treat people like adults. Is this legal? Yeah. Is watching football legal? Yeah. Is having a pint legal? Yeah. Why can't I do both of them at the same time? And it's not the same as drink driving, where everyone says, look, driving a car's legal, having a pint's legal. It's not the same at all, is it? Anyway, number 1. This is a 5 things after all. Make sure to subscribe if you're new over here, all right? We see the stats. Loads of you motherfuckers lurking. Just go and hit the subscribe button and give it a like if you feel like that as well. Because we all need a bit of a thumbs up today, don't we? Because there's not many thumbs up coming in this little chat. So, number 1, when it rains, it pours. The last time United lost 9 of our opening 17 matches, we were relegated. Now, the difference here being is that obviously there's European competitions involved in this one as well. And we are having the worst luck. The worst luck. The season continues to get worse. We are bottom of our Champions League group. Every single Premier League game is jam-packed with uncertainty. And I thought it was a really positive start to United last night. That's what annoys me, is because you think, up until the red card, we actually looked in this game. We looked pretty solid. Myself and Ash was having a real a real sort of analysis of Harry Maguire's passing. Ash, as a ball playing centre half that's played in the Premier League for 10 years, whatever he played in the Prem for, has got some opinions on it, and he shares my opinions on it in terms of how often Maguire passes it behind the guy that he's passing it to, how many touches he takes, just a little bit slow with it. He put Onana in danger a couple of times with it. In terms of his tackling and his heading, pretty good last night. But with the ball, I think he makes us worse when he's got the ball. Anyway, we can't put a solid 90 minutes together at the moment. And I spoke to a few people before the game and at the ground and stuff, and I was saying, like, we're not lurching from mega to shit. We're lurching from shit to pretty ordinary and then back to shit again. It's a really frustrating season in that sense. It's hard to see where we turn this season around. Apart from, we're going to talk about it in a second anyway. Number 2, VAR. So we are the first team on record to give away a penalty in each of our opening 4 matches in the Champions League. I actually haven't even seen the penalty we gave away back. Ash called it in the stadium. He went handball, and I was like, ooh. And then handball. Fucking hell. So I don't know if it was harsh or not, that. The Rashford one I have looked back on, and I see a lot of people saying the intent doesn't matter. Well, no, the intent does. Intent does matter. Now, for it to be a foul that requires a sending off, it has to be reckless. I don't think it was reckless. And the Arsenal fans that was arguing about whether Havertz shouldn't have been sent off, and it was like, he didn't get his leading leg, he got his trailing leg. Well, there is nothing in the rules that says that. I'm going to have a quick look, because I think we all could see that he was shielding the ball. I think he's got every right to shield the ball the way he did. Does the other lad's foot get caught underneath him? Is that the responsibility of Rashford? Just trying to find... I did have something up that I was looking at, and I thought, oh, that might give what a red card offence is. So, in a nutshell, red cards are supposed to be ones that can endanger a player. But the way Rashford shielded the ball, I'm not sure I would say that is how you... I wouldn't say that does warrant that, in all honesty. I wouldn't have said it's... I wouldn't have said it was excuse me, a red card offence. And this is the madness, right? So, was it a clear and obvious mistake to miss it? They didn't even appeal. No one in the ground appealed. Nothing. Play went on, and we went out of shot. And then it got brought back, and you're like, literally, as it's coming up, everyone's going, well, what was that for? What is this for? And then they bring it back and they send him off, and you're like, Jesus Christ. So, I'm not sure I could call it dangerous. I can call it clumsy. And I think a yellow card in that circumstance, don't think anyone would have had an issue. Red card felt mental. And it felt mental. Like, why does the stuff like that go against us always? We never get a player that... There was a shove on Hojlund in the second half from one of their centre-halves. The TV probably didn't even see it. But he's done what Bruno Guimaraes did against Arsenal. He's just gone bosh and I've... Basically, welcome back home, son. Bosh. Have one of them in the back of the head. Why does that never get brought up? There was another elbow that someone could have been sent off for. There's the offside position for their first goal. Is that not in his eye line? Like, what is the rules? Like, honestly, it's so fucking backwards at the moment. United are genuinely being screwed by VAR, and I don't know how that gets fixed at the moment. I don't know how that gets fixed. But anyway, on to a slight positive. And get your questions in as well, actually, please, because I will come to you guys here in the questions in a second. Hojlund. So, bags of brace. Clearly got a bit of a taste for the competition. Should have had a hat-trick. As the game was kicking off, I said, he's going to have a hat-trick game or the worst performance of his United career, and there will be no middle ground. And he was up for it, man. He was lively. He really, really ran himself into the ground. And I know that was... I know taking him off pissed a lot of people off. And I was the same, thinking about going, do you know what? What is going on with this here? Why are we taking off our goal scorer? But when you actually cool down and think about it, he was done. He was toast. We didn't have another alternative that would come on and press like that. You can't put Martial on in those circumstances. Maybe you can try a Palestri or something like that, but that is a bit of a gamble. You want maybe a physical presence up that. He wanted Mount for the pressing, ultimately, and maybe that was the right call, but you couldn't have kept him on. And it's a mad decision when you're chasing a goal, but it is what it is, I guess, isn't it? I think Rasmus proved last night that if you provide him with shooting opportunities, he scores you goals. And that's all you can ask from your centre-forward. Like the weekend, he came off the pitch with no shots. We give him a shot inside 3 minutes in this game and he scores. Number 4, concentration. Our defending, technical defending, is fucking poor. Varane didn't look great when he came on. He looked better on the ball than he did off the ball, which is the reverse of Maguire, but he didn't look great when he came on. Delot absolutely fucks it for the last 2 goals. Absolutely fucks it. How he's not got out and closed the first one down, and whichever way around it was. That was the last one, wasn't it? Either way, his positioning and his concentration for both of those just wasn't there. Defending passively rather than getting aggressive and getting out. Who's marshalling the line? As that ball's coming in, just fucking clear your lines. You know, we're not first to the second ball. I've said it all season that we didn't really see too much of this last night. But we're so bad at defending either that second ball or the edge of our box. So bad at it. Like, I don't know how we're going to get better at it, but we are so bad at it. We crumble when there's a bit of pressure. Like, there was no confidence in United last night to be able to go, okay, we're 10 men down, lock it up, and we'll see this game out. You had no confidence in them, and I had no confidence in them to do that. Because we've not seen us do that. And that's why you need to be able to have an adaptable style of play at times. You need to be able to see the team go and work it, defend on the halfway line, have 10 players in the opposition half, put it on them, press them, win the ball, move the ball around. Or get on the back foot, make it compact, deny the space, force them wide, have them sending balls into the box. And me and Ash had a conversation about this. What were we talking about? We were talking about when you sort of get into the zone a little bit, and then it kind of ended up being... This is before the game that we was talking about this. Talking about sometimes when you get into the zone and things are just happening around you, and everyone thinks it's chaos, but you're just pretty chill because your training has kicked in and whatever. And Ash would say, last 10 minutes of a game, when you're defending your box, for him, maybe not for everyone on the pitch, but he was saying for him, that time goes so fast and he feels so at home in that because he's got loads and loads and loads to do. He said he'd rather that than have to defend 1v1 on the halfway line with someone like a Torres or something that's got a bit of pace that's going to, try and struggle and get in behind him. He says, but once you're in your box and it's just crosses coming in, you can just be constantly on the move and fighting and attacking and fucking heading. He goes, it's easy to do because you train these scenarios in training. But I don't know if this United team are training those things in training. We've got to be able to put in a sustained 90 minutes of football. And we can't. And in that 90 minutes of football, every team, including Manchester City, there are waves. Now, Manchester City will have more of those waves where it's an attack versus defence and they're on the front foot, right? But they will have times when they've had a bit of a pinning from a set piece. How many times have you seen them, they'll play against like a Wolves or someone, and they'll have 2, 3, 4 corners. And they get a sustained bit of pressure where they're on the back foot in their own box. You have to be adaptable as a team to be able to deal with all of those things at the same time. And that's why football is the sport that it is. It's ultra-fine margins. Very often, a single goal determines the result of any game. You know, you don't see very often 10, 15 nils and things like that, like you do in like rugby or other sort of sports where the margin is so much higher, or there's not as many scoring opportunities as there are in things like basketball, where the better team will like just sort of outpoint everybody over the course of it. Upsets happen in football because sometimes a single goal is enough, and a single goal can just be one person's lapse in concentration out of the whole 11. So there's opportunities in football for all that sort of stuff, and you have to be able to be adaptable to them things at all times in a game. And this Manchester United side at the moment isn't excelling in any department at all. You know, and there's clearly a confidence issue, which is obvious. But there needs to be a mindset shift and a more steely sort of mindset where we just put it on. And, you know, number 5, where do we go from here? So I think Ten Hag is seriously under pressure again. Partially because it's Manchester United and partially because of the results. I think, unfortunately, when you take each game by game, you can excuse that goal, that was him. That goal, that was him. Well, he got red card. He should have scored that. The problem is, the big picture is, Gaffer, you got to sort this. Over 10, 12, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, ultimately it's the manager. You're responsible for everything that happens underneath you under here. But I don't think... You know, it wasn't Joel Glazer losing his man at the back post. It was Diego Dalot, right? I looked at our upcoming schedule. We had 3 winnable games. And that was last night, Saturday against Luton, and then I can't remember who the fuck we've got next week. But that was 3 real winnable games. When I start looking a little bit further ahead and I see like Liverpool and Bayern Munich, we could go on a skid where we don't actually pick up back-to-back wins in this little period that we're in. And it might get sticky for him. I think he's safe, and he should be, because of the circumstances we found ourselves in. But it could get real noisy, because we know the media make as much fuss as they can. But it'd be interesting to see what the realistic expectations for United can be at the moment, I think. Emmett says, accidentally ended up in an away end for Porto versus Benfica, and it was carnage. Rules, only suggestions, and they make the UK look completely beige. They do. Top flight football in the UK is incredibly fucking beige at the moment. It's one of those. United says, when is Steer going to take a pop at Rashford, or is he still accepting payments from his PR team? Mate, there's never been a player that's paid me. What the fuck are you talking about? And if I was getting paid off his PR team, would I have done a video... a week ago, saying we need to talk about Rashford and breaking down everything that's going wrong in his game? Use your fucking brain, you melon. CTB says, I'm out of ideas. Last season, the problem was no striker. Season before was no midfield. This season, there's no obvious problem. It's a bit more like... it's a bit like... not having the entire defence is problematic, because you can't play the way you want to play because you haven't got, you know, Martinez and Varane and Luke Shaw. The right wing situation is not getting resolved at all. You know, there's a lot of issues in there. Buddha says, you never face this, but Onana is shit. He was a massive mistake, and that's why AG has to go. He's a jinx. I totally disagree with you that Onana is shit. How about that? Notch says the game is veering too much towards fullbacks who are better at attacking than defending. It is, but you see the likes of Pep sort of converting centre-halves into being ball-playing fullbacks. And I actually think there was a stage where it became a bit fashionable, where your fullbacks had to be almost like wingers and they were the guys that were providing width. But I think the game has become increasingly transitional. And I think you have to have... I don't think it's feasible to see what we used to see. So when the game was a little bit slower, Dennis Irwin, Gary Neville were extremely fit. These are guys that finished the bleep test, right? They could do the shuttles up and down the pitch. But the transitions in football have become provably quicker. So, because the more sports science has got into it, and things like expected goals has come into it, people realise that, like, you can literally see it since the start of the Premier League to now, the amount of shots from 25 yard out and further is doing this on the map. It's decreasing as time goes along. The reason for that is people are realising that those are low percentage shots. And even though those are some of the shots that we fucking love because they're spectacular, like only 1 in 100 goes in. So you're not going to waste your time losing possession in those areas. So as we become more aware of what wins games, what scores goals, which is what ultimately goes and wins games, people are making more informed decisions. And one of the most obvious changes in top flight football at the moment is the speed of which people transition. Rather than 20 years ago, you might win a ball, you can go maybe back or sideways, and you might want to try and keep possession. Because there's this emphasis on pressing, because there's this emphasis on trying to make the pitch compact at all times, so you're getting up to the halfway line and you're squeezing in the first half. If you can win a ball and bosh one over the top because you know you've got pace on there and you want to transition like that, the amount of fullbacks that are capable of doing both sides of the game now, because it is a faster transitioning game, they're rare. They're extremely rare. And what you've seen is teams have gone, well, actually, I'll probably favour more of a playmaking fullback, and I'll sacrifice a little bit of the defensive stability. And this might be something that I can give Pep credit for being revolutionary on. A lot of the stuff that he gets called revolutionary for was just straight out of Johan Cruyff's playbook. But this is something that I think Pep has genuinely done a little bit. It is still sort of an evolution of the 3-diamond-3 that we saw Cruyff doing. But he's doing it with physical specimens, genuine centre-halves now playing in those wide defending sort of positions. He's going, okay, you guys, you're going to defend. This guy will link, and them lot, that 5 or 6 players, they will attack. And then those players know that if the ball is lost in those areas, it's their duty to win it back. And if the ball crosses the halfway line, these lot are the ones that are going to deal with it on the other side. And it's almost like an attacking team and a defending team. And obviously they'll all have a role in both angles of it. But rather than a fullback just fucking doing shuttles all day long, getting up and supporting attack, getting back and making that first tackle, you're having people sort of operating channels and have zones that they're going to look after and not go too far out of. And it works, in my opinion. Freya says, do I see this season heading towards the worst we've ever had in the Prem? Or do I expect things to fall into place when injured players return? Yes, I think once the injured players return, it'll help. Am I on the run? What do you mean on the run? Because I'm wearing this hat? No, I've been on a plane at fucking 6 a.m. this morning and literally just got back, so I wasn't going to bother doing my hair, and I've just put a hat on. Notch says, I feel it's changed this way ever since wingbacks became a thing. Well, 3 at the back hasn't been that much of a modern kind of iteration, has it? Unless when people played a 5, they were fullbacks rather than wingbacks. Ross says, every time I see Garnacho start, I don't see a big impact. He's going to be a specialist sub for a period of time. Reminds me of Chicharito. He's just young. And he's young, but he's also undersized. He's young, and he needs to put a bit of timber on, I think. SI says, referee was yards away from Rashford and he let the play go. Christopher says, oh, please, enough with this poor me victim nonsense. United are not being screwed by VAR. I mean, provably we are, but okay. Albin says, why hasn't Varane started these matches? Is there any news on that? I mean, performance-wise, he did look rusty. Well, there was rumours he fell out with him, wasn't there? But I don't know about whether there's any truth to those rumours or not. But I think the selections might be telling you something. It's insane, by the way, that we're here with Johnny Evans starting and looking like one of our best centre-halves. No wonder we are where we are. And that's not a slight on Johnny. He's fucking playing well. But it's nuts that he's here. I thought he was always getting a Tom Huddleston sort of contract in the summer. How's he playing? How's he starting? That's insane to me. Akash says, can't help but feel sorry for Bruno, suffering through this horrid transition period in United history. Hope he wins more with us. Did I see Jim White cutting off United callers who were backing last night's performance and going against the agenda? No, but I wouldn't watch TalkSport. And honestly, as a United fan, why are you watching TalkSport? You know, Troy Deeney told us, and the whole media has told us that I don't know who else needs to come out and say, yeah, I've been told to say this. Martin Samuel on Sunday Supplement years ago was like, I have to write about United, they're the biggest club. And then Troy Deeney basically said, yeah, they want me to, shit on United. And Gabby Agbonlo clearly went, pass me that hat. I'll do that. And now Evans is injured as well. Yeah. Duncan says, Ten Hag's not fit to coach a club with big players. His man management is poor. Look at Ronaldo, Sancho, Maguire. You've only mentioned one big player in there, to be honest with you. And now Varane. All right, there's another one there. Stop using injuries as an excuse. Luke Shaw is the only injured player. And Martinez. And Wan-Bissaka only came back. And actually, Wan-Bissaka, did anyone else notice this? Wan-Bissaka looks 2 yards off the pace. I don't know what his injury was that he was out with. But obviously, he's only just come back. And he looks so far off the pace. Where normally you'd see him just put in that extra yard and nail someone early. He was having to wait like 10, 15 yards to get there and slow it down because he was struggling to get there. Cavish says, do I think Rasmus is running too much? I know it's weird to say, but he can't complete a full 90. Does he have a fitness issue? Why else would Ten Hag take him out? Again, I'll bring up what Pep does with City. There's not many. Haaland is an exception. There has been exceptions, but you'll see. Like John Stones is a great example of this. And there's been a lot of others that I just can't think of off the top of my head. When someone comes into that Manchester City team, they're in and out and in and out and in and out and in and out, and they're getting used to what he wants them to do. Hojlund came here injured, unfit, and we went, cool story, nerd, get your fucking kit on and go try and score some goals because we're fucked. He's not had a time to sort of adapt or increase his training or get used to whatever tempo it is that Ten Hag wants him to do. And it matters. You know, he didn't have a pre-season with us. He's not necessarily been used to whatever the running is that he's going to have to do. And ultimately, the problem is that we don't have enough fucking strikers. He can't rely on Anthony Martial. So this guy's going to play all the games. And there isn't anyone in the academy that you can go take a bit of pressure off him. Samuel with a super chat, thank you, brother, says, I think the team was close to our strongest available and should be the same for Luton. We started well, maybe Amrabat in, but what would I know? Wan-Bissaka had a hamstring injury, right, so that does make sense. But he looked tired and he looked like he was missing a yard. Now, if he's got a hamstring injury, doesn't necessarily account for the cardio, although it might. But I can understand why he wasn't sprinting as hard as we know he does. Why didn't they just park the bus? Our defence is appalling. Parking the bus can work, but if you haven't worked on it, like there's a lot of nuance to it about where you do stuff and how you prevent certain things. I don't think it would have been in our preparation for this to try and park the bus. You know, if we were going to try and park the bus, surely we would have done it against City. We would have practiced that in the week, and we didn't even do it against City. So why would we do it against Copenhagen? So you've had to adapt on the fly, and I think maybe they should have it in the locker. But maybe he's still trying to get plan A into everybody, so we can't work on the scenario training. Like, I like to do scenario training. I don't do it every week, but we do scenario training with my lads, where I'll say, right, 10 minutes to go, you lot are 1-0 down, you lot are 1-0 up, play. You know, and then we'll go, okay, you guys, there's 15 minutes to play and you're 2-0 down. So can you now play with a little bit of risk? You guys are 2-0 up, but you're a man down. Don't fuck it up. So, like, we'll get into that sort of scenario training, and it's fun to watch, and it's fun to watch the players try and figure that stuff out. But we're amateurs, so we can have a little bit of fun with this. Whereas at the top flight in the Premier League, like every minute you get on the pitch is extremely vital. Keith says no leaders or organisers when the teams are spamming balls in. Mighty Mo says same people who criticised Ten Hag for starting Evans over Ran are now praising him for that decision. Life Riley says done his hammy, could have affected his lower back. Did my hammy it joins the hips and ruin my back? Could be. Nathan says beat Galatasaray, Copenhagen lose. Hope Bayern put a weakened team out. That's how they've qualified. It's possible, but can any of you lot here go, yeah, we can go to Galatasaray and get a fucking result? Because I don't. Notch says, did Ash notice any lack of communications between the players and defenders? Seen a lot of ex-pros point that out when analysing us. No, there was a couple of things that he picked up on, which I hadn't noticed. Which obviously that's what you get for playing Premier League and international football. There's a few things like that in there. So Ash was saying, anytime you'd go up against like someone like a Drogba or just someone that was considered a good, like a good physical defender, he said in my head, I would be very aware of them in and around my vicinity, and as soon as someone shapes up to cross, I'm gonna try and get something hold of them. And we did have a bit of a laugh about, we said you'd be fucked, with VAR, and maybe Vidic would as well, right? But there's a couple of players that have got that little bit of that dark side about them that would be a fucking nightmare under VAR, and I should have been one of them, because he loved a grab, he loved a shirt pull, and he was a bit snide like that at times. But he was saying, when you have a player that you know is good in the air that's going to put it on you, he goes, they're headers that I would win. He said, but then you'll get someone. It wasn't Joe Cole, but I'm just going to use Joe Cole because I forgot who he said. But he said sometimes you'll get like a Joe Cole, and you're thinking, I'm not worried about him. So, and he goes, and then just someone will just go fuck him, bosh, and they beat me in the air because I'm not thinking about them. And he brought that up because he was saying, Bruno and Rasmus have gone up for a header. I think we've just gone long from a goal kick, or I think Onana might have kicked it out of his hands. And their centre-half almost had a free header unchallenged. And he's like, why doesn't Bruno challenge for that? Because the centre-halves probably looked at Bruno and thought, piece of piss, he's probably not even going to challenge for it. He goes, but challenge for it. He goes, you never know what you're going to get. He goes, and sometimes just rattling him a little bit can mean that you pick up a second ball. And he's right. I don't know why we don't do that. Super chat here from Jamie. He says, how was the elbow on Hojlund and the offside wasn't on-field check? Disgrace. Even though we played our best this season, I had the feeling that we collapsed. Senior players are costing the manager again. I completely agree. Yep. Life Riley says, Vidic and VAR, don't stay. We would have set the record for Reds. No problem. But that's it. You have to play to what the circumstances are, don't you? Vidic didn't have VAR. Leave a bit on someone every now and then. No one's going to clock it. Would I rather we finish bottom of the group and concentrate on consistency in the league? Yeah, I don't think we've got the squad at the moment to compete on multiple fronts. And if you end up in the Europa League, whether or not it's accurately an extra 15 games, it feels like an extra 15 games, doesn't it? And I have spoken to the players about this, and this always gets neglected. When you're in the Champions League, have you noticed how many Saturdays United have had, by the way, this season? It's a lot, right? United are playing Saturday, Wednesday, or Saturday, Tuesday, right? People get into a rhythm in their life. And I know I see it with when United end up in Europa League. Now, for me, it works out great because I get to do paddock and I get to watch United because they're often on a Sunday. And like the first couple of seasons of managing, it was always, would always get that where it would be like, there's a match on a Thursday, which I can get to watch. There's a game on a Sunday, which I get to watch. And then there's a game on a Saturday, which I get to manage, which is fucking great. Whereas this season, I've had loads that have been at the same fucking time. It's a nightmare. But with players, and the families, yes, they're loaded. Yes, they're well paid. but they still have like things that they want to get involved with. Like there's so many players that want to do like their school run. Like if you watch Heads Go with me and Ash, he'll tell you like, I don't know if I should blow him up. Half, if not most, of United's first teams go to the same school Ash's kids go to. So a lot of them want to do the school run. Like they want to be involved in their kids' lives like that. When you play on a Sunday night, especially if it's like wherever, it affects your home life and it affects all sorts of mad things. It just throws that whole weekly plan into the sky, and it's a nightmare. So would I rather finish bottom of the group and fuck it off for this season? Yeah, because we're too injured, we're too thin on the squad, and I just fucking... Yeah, I would, yeah. Sam in the super chat says, what do I think of Ali? I think he means like Alejandro Garnacho, left wing, and Rashid right wing. I said this on my review last night. I don't know if people were just mad because he got sent off. I thought Rashford looked bright. I thought he was getting involved with build-up play and stuff like that, and I thought it was going all right. But it's one of them, I guess, isn't it? Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going back to bed for a bit, so I'll see you lot in the next one. Take it easy. Preview will be out tomorrow for Luton, so make sure to tune in for that. Like the video, hit subscribe. If you're sitting there now not subscribed, fucking hit the button. I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.